Please, Hashem. Please, Hashem. It works. It works, everybody. We are live. We have been having so many technical difficulties. I swear, it's like what those hippies would call a Mercury retrograde, but I don't even think it's a Mercury retrograde. I just think that like something's going on. Very suspicious. Very suspicious. But after we announced the Dom podcast, our viewership went down to like it boosted back up. It boosted back up, but I'm definitely noticing some sort of schisms in the algorithm and just on all my technology. I swear, all my apps won't work. My phone I have an iPhone. It won't let me send messages to Samsungs. Like I'm telling you, like there's something going on with my technology. Maybe it's a Mercury retrograde. I don't know. But anyways, we have brought about 4 appearances this week, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is way too much content. And to be honest with you guys, I love it. Every conversation that I had this week was incredible. The second half of my conversation with Bree Dale yesterday was cut off. It's better that it was cut off, that nobody saw it. It ended at like 2 hours, but like at an hour and 9 minutes, 109 minutes. It's not 109, it's like 69 because that's 1 hour and 9 minutes, but it's 1:09 for all you knuckleheads out there. But yeah, it cuts off there, and then we had this like fascinating conversation about objects that the Vatican has. She invited me to go to Rome with her, and it was just like you could see the conversation was like really like heading in a place, and then it got to like some serious stuff. Like let's call out the spades for what it was. There was like tons of Jesus talk, tons of all that like let's air out our theological agreeances and differences, like, but there was like, yes, but we do have these differences, which are so important. And she's like a really great person to talk to about these things because she's very well informed and, very much hoping for a new world with the Vatican. But again, I bring that up because it's like these technology. So if the podcast crashes out mid podcast, I don't know. DDoS attack. I'm just kidding. It's not like that. I saw the HS Tiki Taki's response to Sneeko getting punched in the face. I think we all can use that as a dose of medicine for ourselves. He said, look at this guy right here. He was wearing like some sort of shirt. He's like, this is just a regular guy on the street. You didn't have a hit out on you. It wasn't a plant. He even clotheslined you. He didn't even, it's not the Mossad's finest. It was like some random guy on the street that just hates Sneeko's guts and literally clotheslined him. And I feel bad for him because it's like in this, I'd like to, for them, it's a profession. For me, it's like, I don't do this as like, I'm not dependent on, honestly, X is so bad with its monetization. It doesn't pay people equally based on viewership or impact. There's people out there who like make make way more money than I do on this account, and their viewership is lower, their impact is lower. They're not infamous. They're just like an account that like generates views. They're not. They like to LARP on X about content creation and stuff like that. I'm creating so much original content, and like I'm constantly put into like shadow bans, and like my monetization is so much lower than everybody else's. And I'm like sitting here thinking like, are people clip like this guy was like he said something like 100 and it was something like 77 million views or 80 or 90 million views. It was like under 100 million views or something like that. And he was like getting paid like more than I was annually for hundreds of millions of views. Look, it doesn't matter. X decides what they're going to pay everybody. That's the psyop. You know, they're raising people and lowering people and doing social engineering. You know, Elon Musk and his free speech absolutist platform. But, you know, I'm grateful for the platform because before Elon Musk, the only place I had was InfoWars banned video because the rest of the world silenced me and kicked me out, you know? And in those days, banned video was getting like 20 million unique views a day. And there were only like less than 100 shows, active shows on the platform. So it was really fun. But Elon Musk bought Twitter and everybody migrated over. And like, that's what I say. InfoWars used to be like the most mainstream that the dark web would get. But now X is like the most mainstream that the dark web or the underbelly of life has gotten. And that's an important distinction to make. It's not the mainstream, but it is kind of like the mainstream. It's like a hijacking of the mainstream in a specific way. And I'm grateful because I feel like a lot of replatforming has occurred since then. And, you know, I like to remind us all that there's been so many people who have been deplatformed that like didn't even have followings. They weren't even content creators. They were just people who made personal posts or shared, even as simple as sharing the Z-Pack azithromycin thing during COVID. Like you were like, bye-bye, debanked, Vitas and ciao, you've been denaturalized. You are no longer one of us. You need to go to Mexico. And all you Mexicans, come on in here without your vaccines. But you American who didn't want to get vaccinated. And that's what it was like. But it was like, you know, we got a law. Our laws are protected. We're citizens here and whatever. But there is free speech and, you know, but like vast swaths. And that's why InfoWars got 20 million views a day. Because that's how many people were canceled in America. Oh, Hashem. Anyways, so real shit, though. In the Dom situation, like, that guy was making so much content also. He did the 305 podcast. He was doing all sorts of stuff, making videos. You know, he did the 770 thing where he went to investigate the tunnels. And that was when he decided that the anti-Semites were wrong and that the tunnel story was a hoax. And that changed him. And the guy's been like a on-the-ground journalist, pulling 7.2 billion views. You heard it on Monday. 7.2 billion views a year. Dude, I don't even think Charlemagne gets that many views. That is like some serious, serious, serious level right there. That is like magnanimous. That is like more than NBA stars. That is more than NFL stars. That is like so next level viewership. And then to lose all of it and to be demonetized over it. And he's really like not a controversial guy. Like he's a very like center of the road. I'm happy, like, you know, a lot of people DM me, oh, you said this. Everybody's so sensitive on Twitter. They all are like, I'm an alpha bro, yeah. And then they're like, just so I'm hurt by you, you know, like, let me hide behind an anonymous account and just DM you that I know where you live. You know, like, welcome to like being a Jew on Twitter. But anyways, it's like so weird, like what I go through to be magnanimous on this platform. Like how much abuse and intolerance and just like pure like disgust and I like go face to face with you. I'm just like, hey, Jake Shields, you want to talk? Hey, Elijah Schaefer, you want to talk? Hey, David Duke, you want to talk? Well, actually, it was David Duke chasing me on that one, but I was like really out there. I've been out here. I've been like the only guy. I'm in like, what? Are you American? Let's talk. Come on, let's go. What? What? You know, in a very non-hostile, friendly, funny, enjoyable way. The show's been very successful. It still doesn't change the fact that 4 times Candace has accused me of killing Charlie or being a part of the plot to kill Charlie. Maybe I exaggerate a little bit on that, but she certainly says that I was the guy who told him take the $150 million or else. What is or else? And then lots of people sent me like hate mail after that, like 1,000 pieces of hate letter, to my DMs. Like, your time is up, just the worst shit. I mean, it was so horrible. And then to have that, so the X just like pays me less than it pays somebody who makes equal to me, when if I were generating these numbers on YouTube, like, this is a hard pill to swallow. If I was generating these numbers on YouTube, it would be in like I'd be pulling checks like tens of thousands to $100,000 month checks based on my viewership. And I'll tell you, like, the payout is so low that people who get less views than me and who other people don't clip to the tune of like hundreds of millions of views, like the Gavin McInnes walking off the stage clip, that thing is still trending on the internet. That will be trending till the end of time for these people. They are so sensitive. And like, they monetize that. They monetize clips about me. Other people post content about me that gets millions of views, like the Christspiracy guys. They made a ton of money off of my red heifer thing. So somebody like Dom gets demonetized, and he's like, it's like really like one of the most neutral guys in this like toxic, filthy space that is like so unregulated and violent and hostile and dangerous. This is like really a dangerous space. Like, I see like content creators like Chud the Builder, who going out there and his only content is going up to people who are black and calling him the N-word and seeing their reaction, because he's like a huge guy or something like that. And he likes to like that's his whole content. Monetized. Like, supported by the system. That's all he does. He doesn't talk about ideas. He doesn't make art. He doesn't make music. He's not a professional athlete. But he just, his account grows because he goes up to black people and calls them the N-word. And that's all he does. And that's just like, that is like what the content that X wants its creators to make. Original content, video-based content. Dom's doesn't count. And Dom gets completely demonetized on the platform with 7.2 billion views. The crazy thing is that if he was generating that on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, dude, he'd be pulling in $10-15 million a year. That's crazy shit. And then the brand partner, and then people were like, oh, you're charging for brand sponsorships. Who the fuck do you think he is? It's like almost like the entire population of the earth. Like, what? And people are just so stupid. Anyways, I'm going to talk more about that, about other shit, and about other shit. The main shit, did the Antisemites win or lose? And I've been going back and forth with her about this. I think that they lost. She thinks that they didn't lose. So I invited my friend Karys Rhea to come join us and debate me on this subject. Like, let's talk about it. Like, because I'm walking around on the internet, and they're constantly like inventing new faces, like Professor Zhang, and like all these other like absolute losers. Like, they'll never be able to run out of randos to pull out of a hat. Most of them are like doing weird shit on the side, like Beryllium. Like, let's talk about every single one of them. They just like fall on their swords. They end up being the architects of their own demise. So anyways, welcome to the show. We've been talking a lot. You've seen her on Tim Pool. You've seen her all over the place. She writes. She's a political activist. She's involved in all sorts of stuff. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you, Adam. It's so good to be on the podcast. It's been a long time coming. I feel like we've been talking about doing this for a while. And also, I just have to tell you that you used a word at the beginning of your monologue that I had never heard before, and I was like, "Is this a
I might have
word?"
made it up.
No, you didn't. It's a great word.
What
It's
was the word?
agreeance. Agreeance. I thought the
Agreeance.
proper word is just agreements, right? But agreeance is actually a more of a non-traditional, seldom used term to mean the same thing, and I like it much better than agreement. So, props to you.
Thank you. My
Props
brain
to you
thinks in many languages at the same time.
for your impressive vocabulary.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Just
Also,
because
I
of
visited the red heifers when I was in Israel last month in Shiloh.
Oh, yeah. Way to go. You should come in LA and let me sprinkle you. I have the only mechatas made in 2,000 years.
Oh my
It's so
god.
crazy that we made that mechatas. The mechatas is the mixture of the ashes with the water that comes out of the side of a mountain. It's very specific. The water has to shoot out of the side of a mountain. It's very hard to find a spring like that. There's springs all over the place, but like one that like where the water has to literally shoots outside of the mountain, and then you need a very specific type of hyssop, which is the Zatar oreganum, which is like the Zatar plant that is like indigenous to Israel, and those three with the combo, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. The only thing that would discredit my red heifer from not being kosher was that it wasn't done in Jerusalem, which we're not like debating. We're not like making the claim, We're making the claim that it was 100% kosher done in Shiloh, which was where the temple was for 369 years in the land, so we kind of like, because it had to be in, it has to, Rambam says you have to slaughter it in proximity to the where the God would have seen the entrance of the temple. Even if it was the temple was destroyed, you have to like imaginarily put yourself there, because when God designates it like him a place for an offering, it has to be there. So we were like, the Jews are so afraid of the Arabs. They're like more afraid of the Arabs than God, because they're like, we can't do what God told us to do. It'll start an intifada, as opposed to just like putting on their fucking boots and stepping on people. They're like, oh my God, what happens if we go on the Temple Mount? Ah,
Yeah.
they're like so scared of like these, like,
Snowflakes.
they're like, these people are pathetic. They have no armies even. And they're like, for some reason, we're like intimidated by them.
Yeah.
Like what their reaction will be if we pray to God in the way that he told us to in the book that everybody loves on the earth. Like if
Well,
we follow that book, ooh, the
Jews have
boogie
always
God is going to
been our
get
own
you.
worst enemy, so we've always been our own worst enemy.
So I'm glad you visited the Red Heifers. It's amazing that we still have kosher ones left. Out of
Mhm.
the original 5, we offered one was invalid, and there's 3 left. And so you saw the 3, and we've
Yeah.
offered this to the Temple Institute and all these, like, these low level grifters, these grifting organizations, the Sanhedrin, the fake Sanhedrin, and like these like religious institutions that are just like really just, we've offered them. You said you don't like the one we did. You want to like discredit it. Take one of our, because they were the ones who certified our other ones. Go take a red heifer. Go do it. Go do it. And if you're not going to do it, then why are you trying to be the guy who's supposed to do it? If you're not going to do it, and if you're going to pearl clutch, oh, it wasn't in Jerusalem, you're a sinner. But I'm glad you went and saw them. What'd you think when you were there? What was the
Shiloh
personal
was
take?
amazing. I'd never been to Shiloh. I mean, it was a visceral experience to say the least. I went on my birthday. My parents took me there
Wow.
and it was lovely, and it's a place that all Jews and Christians should visit in their lifetime. Really.
It
It's
really
it's
is
has such significance
it really
and
is
it's
one of the
beautiful.
birthplaces of our nation.
Mhm. Yeah.
Did you tour the temple remnants and the old city that was destroyed down by where the temple was? The
Yeah,
Mishkan?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. We did a lot. We did a lot. I mean, lived in Israel before, but this was I was there for a whole month, so I did a lot of stuff.
Where'd you live in Israel?
When I was there, that was in 2016, and I lived in Herzliya
Mm.
for 8 months, and then in Tel Aviv for 4 months. I was
Along the
going to school. I was in grad school there.
Wow, where'd you go to school?
IDC. It's
IDC
now called
Herzliya.
Reichman. Yeah, it's now Reichman
IDC
University.
Herzliya. I love
Yeah,
Herzliya. Herzliya is so romantic with the boats and everything. And I
it's
stayed in
nice.
that hotel, right? That one right on the marina there. And it was like,
In Petuah?
yeah, in Herzliya, Patuach. I think it was
Yeah.
called like, I don't know. It was one of the fancy hotel chains.
On
But
Fridays, I would have the most indulgent pre-Shabbat every Friday because class would get out at like 11 a.m. or something. And I would drive to the beach and I would get a massage from this Italian guy whose parents had an apartment in Patuach, but who was training with this incredibly well-known masseuse in Jerusalem. And so because he was training with him, he would give me a 90-minute massage for $20 US. So I would get a 90-minute massage every single
he
Friday
was
on
just
the
trying to
beach.
hit on you.
And then I would go, well, I don't care. Like for me, it's
Take
just a
the
massage is a
discount.
massage.
Take the discount.
Um, and then I would go to the beach and just take a nap and swim and put lemon in my hair to lighten
Mm.
it. And then I would go to Benedict's and order sauce. And it was so delicious, and it was just like the most indulgent Friday. And that was every single Friday for months in living in Herzliya. It was glorious.
I actually, I lived
That
in
was back when
Israel.
I can when I could still eat pancakes and with Oreo sauce and not gain weight.
I lived in
Back in the
Israel
day.
for 3 years, and like I never lived in Tel Aviv, and it was only not this last summer, but the summer before that that I actually like went to Israel, and literally like my trip was based about Tel Aviv. Like I had a lot of work to do, I had business meetings in Tel Aviv and whatnot. But I was so and like the house that I was staying was right on Banana Beach, overlooking Old City. My window was overlooking Old City Yaffo from up high. It was like in the one of the
Yaffel's the
penthouses. It was so
best.
nice. It was like, and I was like overlooking the land of Tel Aviv, and I was thinking so many deep thoughts about it. And I realized that it's such a holy place.
Mm,
And in the ancient world, Tel Aviv was didn't exist. It's a new phenomena. It's a brand new city that didn't it's not in the Bible. Yaffo is in the Bible, but Tel Aviv, the sprawlingness of it's like Los Angeles, like a sprawling city.
so what do you mean by holy then?
So like there is like in Kabbalah there's this concept called nutzotzot de kedusha, these like hidden fallen sparks. So Tel Aviv, you got to look at Tel Aviv through the right lens. And if you look at it through the right lens, you see that it's actually a very, very special place driven by tradition. Even though
Mm,
they think it's so liberal, it's not. These people are extremely traditional. They're very open-minded and accepting of others, but like the family structures are really traditional.
mm,
People get married early, women don't marry
yeah.
for money. Like the women are so beautiful, and like the men are also like they're out of the military, they're like built like rocks. They also look great. No, but everybody does whatever they do for work. There's like no discrimination between people who have like good jobs or people who just have jobs or people who don't even have jobs. And like there's like a lot of taxes and everybody's hit hard equally, and like there's just this general camaraderie and people are humble. It's a very
Mhm,
humble place filled with great people. Everybody's so brilliant. I spent all my years in Jerusalem, Sfat, and Hebron,
mm.
and living in like that old world, in stone buildings. I lived a year and a half in the old city of Jerusalem in an old abandoned Turkish fortress, a 12-bedroom fortress inside
Whoa.
of the Armenian quarter. And that was like, it was such a cool experience.
You
You
live
know,
there alone?
I know we
Oh,
rented
okay.
the place and rented the rooms, but like, we had like a 20-foot Shabbos table and 60-foot ceilings. It was like the coolest experience for a young
Yeah.
kid living in the old city of Jerusalem. And I was so cut off from Tel Aviv, and I just like never really went there. But there's an inherent holiness in the land. There's a holiness in the greatness of the architecture. Like as I look out at the Tel Aviv skyline, I like all I could think about is like Tokyo. 30
Mm.
years is not. This will be like way bigger than Tokyo in 30 years. There's no
Maybe.
stopping
I
it.
don't I don't like modern architecture though. Like that's why I love Yaffo because I love the stone buildings and
Well,
I
Israel's
don't like
special because it has
modern.
both, but that is that
Right.
place. Like my buddy just bought the 33rd and 34th floor of a skyscraper that they just put on the beach in Netanya, and I'm just like looking at these properties, and I'm just like,
Yeah. Netanya is like on point.
these
It's
are
really
like really serious feats of architecture that are being accomplished, and it's only going to get better. You could see like as they progress, like the skyrise buildings of the 80s in Israel, the skyrise buildings of the 90s, the early
yeah,
2000s, and
But Jerusalem is under so much construction because it needs to
yeah,
be because it's they just can't house everybody. And I'm worried. I'm worried about this modern that these like glass buildings, glass and concrete buildings that are going to go up. And I think it's going to actually desecrate the feeling of the ancient Jerusalem that we all know and love because what is so amazing when you're there is that feeling of being part of something that you know is so sacred and so old and goes back for, to thousands of years. So I'm worried about all the construction in Jerusalem and what that's going to look like. Jerusalem is, I mean, I spent when I was there this last month, I was in Jerusalem the entire time and it's just there's nothing like it, but everywhere you go, there is construction.
it's always been that way. And they're also performing great acts of architecture in Jerusalem, like the one pillar bridge that it sits at the entrance. And that piece of architecture has been copied all over the world. There's one they have that same bridge just outside of Griffith Park here in Los Angeles. And people in LA marvel at the architecture, and it was literally
Oh, really?
architecture that was created in
Huh.
Jerusalem. So there's a double side to it. There is great works that are being created. I also, I guess I just tried.
I just wish so much of the architecture wasn't glass and concrete. I wish they
There's a
actually
lot of like concrete, but you want to know the problem with Israel and building and architecture and real estate?
they don't have resources like
No,
wood.
Israel has incredible resources.
Okay, yeah, but you're not going to find like hardwood floors in Israel.
95% of the population lives in 5% of the land.
Mm,
And to live outside of that 5% bubble comes with immense amounts of bureaucratic paperwork and tape and all sorts of things. And the preservation of the land from ownership is one of the greatest impediments to its development. And that's why you see such concrete structures, high
yeah,
taxes,
yeah.
military pulling everybody's salary for the military budget. Like they live under constant occupation. They need constant, in reinvention and military budgets. It's a humongous expenditure that the Israelis face living in such a hostile territory. The tax burden is insane. And it's
Hmm.
created this
No,
like
it's
concrete apartment building nation, a lot like a Soviet cinder block type of a thing. And they do that.
mhm.
There are some places like that in Jerusalem. At least they put a Jerusalem stone veneer on them. You know what I'm saying? But underneath it is a concrete structure.
No, it's a very difficult place to
And
live
if Israel were to
economically.
open up the land, and that's another reason why American Jews don't buy land in Israel, is because there's just, if you
Mhm.
want to buy a land, you could buy 1 dunam. It's like my house
Yeah,
here is like
yeah,
1 dunam,
exactly. Yeah,
you
totally,
know?
totally.
So,
So, have the
anyways,
anti-Semites won or lost? You
well,
you think they lost?
I think that they lost. You think that they won.
I think it completely depends how we're defining our terms, right? Like what do we mean? What do you mean by lose when you say they have lost? Are you talking about in the social media sphere, or do you mean the fact that Jews
All
are,
right. I'll give you an
approaching
example of a.
population levels that are, finally pre-Holocaust, and the fact that we have our sovereign nation of Israel? Like, what do you
There's
mean
also
by
that
lose?
win. Like Jews are winning so hard in all those fronts, but then also the anti-Semites lose. I want to show you an example of a major anti-Semitic loss. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson being bombarded for their idiocracy. Right, comes the
Mhm.
White House prayer thing, whatever. The new spokesman who they're choosing, like their new Professor Jang, is Karine Jean Pierre, Carrie Jean Pierre, whatever,
Carrie
whatever.
Prejean Bowler.
The yeah, the former porn. I'm glad
Or
I didn't. I'm glad I don't remember her name. Right.
Or the former
So what basically like
the
what I'm
black,
getting at,
press
what I'm
secretary of Biden?
no, the woman
Because
who
that's what you just said.
no, that's not, yeah, that's I did say that right. Corinne Jean Pierre. Yeah. What's the girl's name?
But
She's
then
also
there's Carrie Prejean Bowler, who was the religious, liberty commissioner who was
right. She comes
removed
out of
by the
nowhere,
Trump
right?
administration.
She
Yeah,
comes out of nowhere. I'm glad that I didn't remember her name because she's that not relevant in the actual media cycle. She's
sure.
fabricated and astroturfed.
Okay.
So Carrie, she like she's now like the spokeswoman of like the Catholic right,
Right.
and she's like a porn star.
Mhm.
She's got like it's just like the to me that's like a major loss. Like you're already losing. You're already losing that you've appointed that person to have special dignified influence in morality and religion, and they're like literally there's like
Okay, but
porn
once
all
again,
over
we
the
have to
internet with her in it.
define our terms, right? In that sense, of course, Jews are winning. And that's a
That's
spiritual,
like an anti-Semitic loss.
metaphysical, transcendent, realm that we are dealing in. And in that realm, of course, the Jews are winning and we will continue to win. The reason why I don't think it's so clear cut is because online is the new information ecosystem. It has replaced the way that the youth form their identities and form their values, right? They don't get their values by having one-on-one conversations in person, looking somebody in the eye. They don't read books anymore, right? They are not going to in-person events. They are relying on the online atmosphere for their sense of self in all realms. And the online sphere is a hub for anti Semitism that people like Hitler could have only dreamed of. To have a place like to have like a space like the web, the world wide web, to actually push your propaganda, where a lie can just go around the earth 20 billion times before, what they say, what's the expression, the truth has a chance to put its pants on or get out of bed or something like that. That's how anti-Semitic information translates now and transfers to the world. And there is no differentiation between online and real life for the youth. And by the youth, I'm not just talking about teenagers. I'm talking about like under 30, like people who are online
Mhm.
incessantly. There is no difference for them. That online is what shapes, everything about their identity. And so, in that sense, I think anti Semites have a leg up in this day and age where they've never had it before, because they've never been able to push their propaganda and their conspiracies and their visceral guttural hatred at the speed and at the rate, and at it's just never been able to travel at this rate
All right.
historically.
So I'm going to rebuttal you with an Israel win and a anti-Semitic loss. Israel win. That Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Kuwait, Jordan, Syria are all riding into battle together in Iran with Big Daddy America like Godfather behind it. That's a massive win. The world has changed. It's no longer the same. It's completely different, and it'll never go back to the old paradigm. Even though other people live in it in America, they live in the illusion of the old paradigm in the Middle East in America. The Middle East doesn't live in that paradigm at all anymore. So
It's
everybody's
true.
winning. That's the win. Here's the anti Semitic loss, okay? The anti Semitic loss is that X has had to become accountable on so many different fronts. They had to reveal the country of everybody who was shit posting on the internet. Now they've like filtered it so that you could, post only to America. They've like really
That has been
they have
instituted?
become caught. They got caught allowing insane, insidious amounts of foreign money to come into America to influence America. Right? So these are all losses that have taken place. They're going to take like 3 to 6 months to really materialize in the culture. But where's the proof? Clavicular gets mogged by Israel. That guy's not doing anything anti Semitic ever again. He got mogged. He got Jew mogged, Jew maxed, Israel
What do
mogged,
you
whatever he
mean?
wants to call it. And
You're
now,
saying
look, everybody's just falling apart. Sneeko fell from grace for everybody blamed him for playing that song. Andrew Tate goes on an apology tour that he swears is not an apology tour, and they're all going through that thing. They huge anti-Semitic loss.
these are meaningless
Huge
small victories.
anti-Semitic loss.
These are
No, they are
meaningless
meaningful because
anti-Semitic
they're
losses.
not gonna go to the social
Meaningless.
media sphere and goose step anymore. That's why it's
Okay.
meaningful, and they're steering the youth.
Okay. Two anti-Semitic wins. One, conversations, really guttural third world conversations, just like, Jew hating slop that would have never been welcome in polite, decent society are now being had in America, not just online. Obviously, it's all over online, but on the ground in churches and in the religious liberty commission. They are the conversations that, it's not like we should ban them or cancel them or anything like that, but we have to recognize that they have been elevated now and people are having these conversations. And once you welcome that type of guttural hatred into, mainstream discourse, that is a huge loss, not just for Jews, but for any sort
All
of
right,
decent society. I mean, that just
let's break
represents
it.
a
Let's break it
society
down.
in decay. And those conversations are happening. That's one.
I
That's
think
that's
that
one
that's a. I
anti-Semitic
think that
win,
it's a. I think that there's an anti-Semitic loss associated with that point too. Is
which
if you
is
look at the people who are promoting anti-Semitism in the church, you have fucking nut jobs like Steven Anderson, who like that's like the lead. He's like, if that's the enemy, like that guy is so crazy.
yeah,
Like this
that's what
stuff,
you would have. And I understand that, but because of
people
my
don't follow
first
that.
point, I know,
Like
but because of
also
my
this is
first
an
point, which is that
unprecedented
he
time
has.
when Christians are making unprecedented moves to show that they don't believe in that. For the first time ever, you have like, and of course it's going to come with tremendous opposition, like Vatican II stuff. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
but people who were relegated to the fringe, rightly so, not because of any sort of like private public, collusion to cancel them, but people who we all recognized are just freak shows because of the internet and because of the algorithms and because of the rage bait that is favored in social media. They are actually influencing people in a way that they could never have done beforehand. And that ends up translating to real world followers.
How
Like,
crazy is it that that in order for money to get into the hands of anti-Semitic influencers, they if you're really following the money, it's coming from X. Like X must be dishing out hundreds of millions of dollars to
not just X,
anti-Semites. Well,
not just
X
X,
is where like it happens the most.
TikTok.
X is the hardest platform to break onto.
what about all of the, all of the, like, Twitch and, like, the Discord
Oh, they're
servers that
really
the young people
small,
are, like.
actually. Here's something that really weirded me out. I saw, like, sometimes they post their viewers, like, how many people are live streaming on their thing, and it's only like 15,000 live streams. I've had 100,000 people on a live stream before
Okay, well, this actually
on
goes
X, but on
to.
Kick, they because they're gambling at the same time and there's so much money going around in that environment,
Right.
they're generating all that money and all that that riz on the internet with much smaller crowds than X or any of those other platforms. In fact, Kick literally survives on X, being like an account. Like, look what's going on Kick. Like, they're advertising on X for their small little micro world.
Right, but
And they
that's
even have
because
a competitor in Stake, which is like literally the exact same thing.
I understand, but that's because X is much more of, like, a global platform, right? These other more, like, gaming platforms or, more dark web type of stuff, that's stuff that, like, the American youth are penetrating, and it's pervasive, right? So yeah, like a platform like X might be getting, global participation, but these other more youthful oriented channels are, which are so infiltrated with the anti-Semitic slop. They're influencing young people in Americans.
That's why the only way to combat it is through comedy, because they try to make it taboo they try to make it acceptable through comedy, and that's why the only way to really defeat it is through comedy. I truly believe it, because when Jews go out there and they're like, "Oh, I'm huffing and puffing, combating anti-Semitism," no, you're not. You're actually like just giving them what they think is a proof that that look, see, the Jews are doing this. Look, they're trying to censor us. Look, they're doing this. And if a law gets passed, they're like, look at all this Jew power. See, it all proves out. And they're like trying to tell this story and this narrative and use like
Okay,
events
but
to
Adam,
justify.
comedy.
Hold on, before you interrupt me, I want I
Sorry.
want you to know that there the point that I'm trying to get at is like the amount of money that's being dished out to create this from these social media companies. It's not just X. It is people like Stake and Kick and other places that are allowing monetization and all sorts of money, big money for anti-Semitism, because it draws in crowds and they do it through comedy. They make fun of anybody that they can make fun of. And it's in that kind of like putting down of people that they're making money. And so like, is Aiden Ross an anti-Semite? I wouldn't assume that he's an anti-Semite, but he certainly, you know,
Profiting off of it.
loves, pushing Sneeko and all the,
Mhm.
he has a very different relationship with those guys. And he's on the Kick and all that, and like, I wouldn't say that Aiden Ross is an anti-Semite, but he's like waving the Palestinian flag around and making apologies for Jews and stuff like that. He's certainly an apologist. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? He's not like a proud Zionist. He's an apologist. But those are the platforms that are like creating this environment, and it's X. And even like Zuckerberg tried to play around with anti-Semitism to see if it was profitable on Instagram for a minute, and then they were like, "No, we're not so down with this."
But it is
So
profitable. So isn't that a win?
it's it's profitable, but it wasn't what they thought it was. It's really contained a lot to X. X
But
is the
even
racism app.
no, but you just admitted that all these other apps
They all
are
tried
like,
to play around with it when they were
even look
trying
at
to
like
like,
Reddit, like anyone who's not an anti-Semite can't even post anymore if you're dealing in those realms on Reddit. Look at even like Wikipedia. I
yeah,
mean,
they're echo
I think that
chambers.
I think that even if it's not profitable in, direct monetization, it's profitable in the sense that these people create these echo chambers and these communities, and this is these are
You want to know a
the
big
platforms that
problem?
young people turn to. But
You
also, Adam, no, I just want to respond to the thing about comedy. I completely agree with you, but I don't that comedy is crucial in order to fight this. But I don't think you can say it's the only way. I mean, we still need to keep Jews safe. That's really what
Oh yeah,
that's
like buy a
what
gun, get a
fighting,
CCW,
because
like
let's be clear, that's what fighting anti-Semitism is about. It's not really about trying to, manipulate or fine tune or micromanage the conversation here, right? For the sake of conversation. It's about understanding, the way that history has played out, and that the most important thing is keeping Jews physically safe. And so it actually has to be fought in a whole different variety of ways. And I don't think that, I mean, you have your own approach to fighting it and people have theirs. And I think that they're all needed, honestly. I really do. I think you need to fight it in different realms and different,
this is why I
um,
don't get upset. No, you're right. I don't get upset with people like Shmuley Boteach or Ben Shapiro or anything. I like try
me
to
neither.
find the good that everybody does. Like a lot of people LARP, like I would do it differently. No, that's how Shmuley does it, And like for some things he does really good. For other things, it's just a part of the package. And you're right. Every Jew goes about this differently, and we're all
The
trying our
problem
best to like
is
end this, to
exactly,
end the scourge. But the
exactly.
real scourge, it really comes from money. Like I was gonna say, like if you think about it, like people say that I LARP on it because I talk about it all the time. I wasn't allowed on YouTube until Candace Owens accused me on YouTube and made millions of dollars saying that I was a part of the plot to kill Charlie Kirk. That's the only reason they let me back on YouTube, is because I said, how am I not able to even defend myself when this is the number one show on your platform? She was like number one for like months on YouTube, getting huge
Wait, are you
checks.
saying they let you back on so that you could defend yourself, or just because suddenly they felt like
That's
it
what
was
I was
lucrative
saying,
for
that
them?
like, how is this even legal that she can accuse me of killing somebody on your platform and be the number one show, as well as denying the Holocaust and every other thing that like socially you're not allowed to do. And I'm not even allowed to be on the platform. The first time I was removed from the platform, I had Rabbi Avraham Greenbaum on my show. We did an episode called The Kabbalah of Ukraine. And YouTube took me down, suspended my account, removed all sorts of videos from my account, cherry picked my account, left videos up, and then didn't let me post or go live or do anything. I couldn't do anything. I was completely locked out of my I had full access to my YouTube. I can log in, and they would always send me videos. We like a month later, we've reviewed this video and we found that it also violates our terms of service. We're taking it down as well. This went down. They probably took over down like half my videos. I only do lives on YouTube now. But I was saying to them, why is this? They came after me so vehemently. I had like no followers on YouTube when they did this to me. And they said that my ban came from the Rabbi Greenbaum episode because they said I had nudity in my episode. This is like one of the greatest Kabbalistic rabbis of all time. Karys, you know that I'm Orthodox, right? I cuss sometimes. I'm like a little wild on the set. I have a mouth. Do you think I would show nudity to my rabbi? I'm being
Yeah.
real.
No, it's insane.
Would you do if I said that they kicked me off because the episode contained nudity and I said there was no nudity in the episode whatsoever? You'd probably believe me on face value because like some sort of structural
Yeah, of
integrity
course.
about me as a person, that I wouldn't be showing my rabbi nudity on live television, a live streaming. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no doubt. No doubt.
All my
No doubt about it.
petitions were ignored. I tried really, really hard when I did my Tyson Hockley episode, and they did not allow me about that. And I bring that up on because I was always trying to get my YouTube back because my producer's always hawking the Chinik about how I got to get my YouTube back and I got to get all my accounts back, especially my dating profiles. I have a permanent match banned group. After I got divorced, I came out to find that I'm banned from the Match group. Match.com owns like every dating app, including JSwipe, JDate, Christian
Oh
Mingle,
my
Hinge.
god.
I'm not allowed on Black Meat.
Oh
I'm
my
not
god.
allowed on Muslim Mingle. I can't get on any of these sites. I can't go on
Mus
JSwipe.
Muslim mingle is a thing?
JSwipe. Shema
Is Muslim
Yisrael.
mingle a thing, or did you
Yeah,
just
they
make it
have
up?
it's a massive, massive multi-billion-dollar company,
Mhm.
Match.com. I've been petitioning them. I threatened with a lawsuit. These things are fucking expensive.
Okay, well, you need
ChatGPT, ChatGPT.
honestly, the dating thing, that's a
No, I also like whatever. I
actually a
just
good
I
thing.
don't because of it. I don't spend time on dating apps. But I did try to get on like some of these. Um, True story. I tried to get on some of these Jewish dating apps. I'm not going to say their names because I'm sure fucking retards in the audience are going to go take this idea and do it. But they literally, I got honeypotted twice on like these off-label Jewish dating,
Wait,
like intentionally honeypotted.
can you explain to me, I'm sorry, I'm a dinosaur. I still don't quite understand what it means to be honey potted.
That somebody kind of like lured you in for the specific like what James O'Keefe does is like a honeypot. Like he lures people in under false pretext, catfishes
Okay.
them, and then like surprise, you just said all these things that I got you. And two times since I became divorced, it happened to me where somebody from the audience, infiltrated this dating world, fake profile, and tried. I'm not like I have nothing, no shame about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not a shameful person, and like I'm not embarrassed by, like. But they literally were like fishing and looking two times. I mean, that's just in excess of all sorts of other problems I've had with people in the audience, but two times specifically. One of them was even a matchmaker dating app, and they had a fake matchmaking account, and I'm telling you, they intentionally went after me. And
This
what
is
on the
why the
sec
only way this is why we need to get back to people to Jews setting each other up.
it was that was that one app was a
That's
Jewish matchmaking
that's
app, and
no, no,
and
no, 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 no. You need to tell all of your friends. You need to tell all of your
yeah, it's
friends,
true.
every single Jewish person you meet. You
It's
have to
true
be like,
because we need
"I'm
more
single,"
Jewish babies in the
and
world. You know what I'm saying? Like we're in a shortage, and people are getting married later too. It's like really kind of
mhm,
like people aren't getting married at all, actually. And
mhm.
also
I
like
would
marriage and
yeah.
children have been equivalated to the same thing, and which it like doesn't have to. But like it was in the previous generation, like, oh, you survived Bergen-Belsen, I survived Bergen-Belsen, and we have so much in common forever, happily married, 70 grandchildren, everybody's happy and successful, wholly healthy family. In this generation, it's like nothing's good enough. It's like, and there is some truth to that. I know you and I go back and forth on like the whole manosphere culture, but there's a deluge, but Jews got to wake up from the sleepy curse and just start making babies because like
Well, and also
population's
they need
dimming.
to start setting up their friends. Honestly, like Jews need to not take for granted that other Jews are on dating apps, and they need to actually try to make connections between their friends. That is the best way to do it. And you know where that still exists? In Israel. Like
Yeah, it's
you
true.
go to Israel, the first question anybody over 50 years old will ask you is, "Are you married?" And if not, they have it in the back of their mind, and
Did you
they
see that
try to
post that
find
the
you a match.
Israeli minister made the other day trying to set up someone in his office on
No.
Twitter? Let me see if I can find it. It's so
Okay, I wanna see this.
Israel. This is like the most Israel thing I ever seen in my life. Israel minister matchmaker. Let's see. It went viral. No, I can't find it.
Yeah, I mean, I met my boyfriend through a friend who set us up, who was literally for the last year has been like we were in different cities, but for the last year, she's been like, "I really think you guys would be an amazing fit," and she's been trying to make it happen, and finally it did, and she was right. So that's the best way to go.
It was you know what? I'm sure Grok will know. Uh, ask Grok, who was the Israeli minister that used his official Twitter profile to be a matchmaker for someone in his life?
That's amazing.
Yeah, straight up.
I
Grok
should
is going
help
to
you
know.
doing that.
Like, why am I doing a regular search? Just ask Grok. Because it went viral. Like, I almost shared it too, but then I saw other people were sharing it. So I was like, it's not so original. But anyways, it'll come up when it comes up, but that'll prove your point. And I do think that Yitzhak Wa the here it is.
Like, I
uh,
really think that the problem is not just that that people, not just Jews, are not having babies and getting married. Obviously, that's a
look at
huge,
this.
huge
Look
problem.
at this
But
post. You see,
this
this
is a
is an
matchmaking
official
post.
gray certificate. You see,
Wait, let
he's
me see
got
what
a
it says.
gray check mark. This is a government account.
This is oh, it's in Hebrew. Okay, tonight after the
This is a matchmaking post. Tonight
oh my
after the
god, this is
holiday meal,
amazing.
we will all read about the splitting of the Red Sea, which our sages of blessed memory said is as difficult as pairing of a man. Let's try to make it a little less difficult. My sister-in-law,
Oh
Shani
my
Ravani,
god, he
age
put his phone
32,
number.
single, is looking for a worthy groom. And I say whoever merits her will win the lottery. Shani is an intelligent, witty,
Oh my
humane,
god,
clean,
she's
organized girl
amazing.
with
Did
flowing,
you
lighthearted
message him?
personality. She is a true righteous woman that possesses fine character traits.
You should
Currently, she's
message
an
him.
educator in a school at Ramat Aviv, holds a bachelor's degree in education and a master's degree in business administration, and lives in Tel Aviv. She values a man with good character traits, with aspirations to build a Torah home, and who looks good up to age 40. And he drops a number.
Oh, up to
He
age 40.
leaves
Yeah,
a
no, yeah.
number. Feel free to send me a WhatsApp
Yeah.
message. May you merit the mitzvah of the third and the third of the Garden of
I
Eden.
just have to say, if she's 32, she should definitely be open to guys older than 40.
That is, and there's also the Jewish matchmaking. But how funny is that? You're like, in Israel, they do this. Here is an official. He is officially, let's see who he is. He's the
Because this is
minister of the Negev, the Galil, and the National Resilience, member of the Knesset from the Otzma Yehudit party, married
because
to
this is
Moria and
Adam,
father to
this
David,
is what I'm
Eichmann,
saying. It's
Yaela, and
not just
Michaela.
that people aren't having babies and getting married. It's also the fact that nobody sets each other up anymore. This is another huge loss in, an internet age, right? For
Mm.
society is that
Well, also people
people
just don't talk to each other. Like I went out last night and that just talking to people, like old school. Like they lost that because they feel like the whole world exists on the internet and like you can
exactly.
only interface on the internet if you want it to become physical. You have to start on the internet and people are really lame like that. So like
No,
the
it's awful.
culture's dead. Like people don't go outside anymore to like
People
go
do not
out
go
and meet each
outside.
other.
They don't risk being rejected by hitting on people, which is such an important developmental skill, like to be able to weather rejection and also to take risks and to put yourself out there and step out of your comfort zones. Like these are things that we need to learn how to do if we want to be self-actualized individuals, and that culture is completely dead. I've talked about this so many times on different podcasts that the system is just stacked against we are the last generation that knew what it was like to be alive before the internet. Now when people are raised, they, like you said, they don't go outside, so they're having joint problems, they're not getting enough vitamin C, they're having issues with like blindness and eyesight because of being on looking at screens all the time. They're all addicted to pornography, and so they think they're getting their physical needs met, but they're not, because pornography is incredibly debilitating and has all sorts of knockdown effects physically. And yeah, and they think that they're getting their emotional needs because they're all connected, right? But it's all online, it's all fake. They're not getting the actual oxytocin, they're just getting the dopamine. And so then they're all over medicated because they're still depressed and anxious. I mean, it's a horrific cycle, and I just feel so bad for the younger generations. Really. I mean, it's
Yeah.
even
And
I used
there is a lot of content on the internet in the manosphere. And I have to give it to him, Clavicular. He goes out there and just talks to girls on the street, like for all of his shortcomings, at least he has this traditional male role Because you're talking about like getting set up and all this stuff, and then he is the youth, and the youth, they do make these videos a lot. I see them all the time in Miami where they have like a hidden camera, and they'll just go
Yeah,
up and talk to
that's big
girls
on
and
the
get girls'
manosphere.
numbers.
Yeah.
It's a humongous content driven area of the marketplace, and
Yeah, but the problem, Adam, is they're
so
not
people are
doing that.
doing it. They're like,
Yeah, but they're not doing it to encourage with the, like, explicit instruction of, like, encouraging their followers to actually get out there. They're doing it because the more that they have streaming content in their life when they're moving around and stuff like that, the more that everybody else is gonna be stuck in their homes watching their content
well, I'm
and
just
not
saying it
going
sets a
outside and
good
being in the real
example.
world.
If everybody, it sets a good example of what life could be, and you make your own choices in the world. So you could choose if you want to, go on a dating app, or
Well,
you could choose if you want to go out with friends and just go talk to that girl that you think is hot.
I
These are
totally agree
your
with you.
choices to make, and
I
like,
agree with you, but
and
I
as a
wouldn't use.
man, the girl's not going to come up to you. So like that's your choice to make. And if you don't make the choice, you're not going to talk to her. And if you're going to make and that's one way that traditional courtship has worked. That is just one of the
I
very
agree.
facets
I
of
agree.
courtship.
But I think that's the way that the manosphere culture hooks you. I think that's because all of these cult-like phenomenons and
Did you
political
see me in
groups
the
and
movie?
social groups, I did. They all
Yeah.
are using truth in order to push lies. And this is how they hook you with these ideas about, like, traditional culture and how to meet women and everything, when in reality, like, everything else they're doing is not something that should be looked upon as an example. I'm sorry, but, like, looks maxing and, like, partying in clubs and all this kind of stuff, like, it's not a good example to set. So I agree with you
Oh
that
my God.
generally,
When
like
did you
you're
become
saying.
so square? Like at the age of 20, were you 22, 23? Did you go to clubs?
Okay, clavicular is like what, a 22 year
He's
old, but he's
24.
partying with people. He's partying in clubs with people who are, like, in their 30s and 40s.
I
So
was
he's always
doing
with
that.
groups.
I was doing that. I've gone to like some of the greatest parties I've ever been to. Somebody there was like 60 years old and he like owned a bank. You know what I'm saying? Non-Jewish
Okay, well,
bank,
was
by
he
the
was he
way, in
happily was he, like,
Switzerland. For all
did
these
he have
people that
kids
think
and
the
was he
Jews own
married?
all the banks, no, no,
So,
dude.
I mean, look, I don't know. I'm not saying there's not a place, like, a time and a place to go out to a club and have fun. And I'm not saying that 6-year-olds can't
I
do that.
hate
I'm just
clubs,
saying
but I
that it's a.
certainly spent my time in them. I hate them. They're the most obnoxious, annoying place. I went to them when I was younger. I mean, who doesn't? Who never did that? So we can't like sit here and pearl clutch be like, "Oh, the youth, the youth, the youth." Like they're doing exactly what we did. They just have cell phones while they do it.
No, because everything that they are doing, whether it's on the street or in front of their screen, everything that they are recording is all manipulated so that they can get more views. They're not
Yeah.
living a normal reality. They're living an altered reality where they know that they are always in front of a camera. And so their behavior is altered for that. That is not genuine. That is not authentic. That's fake. That's making people think that something's real when it's actually fake.
That's kind of like my whole point on like the internet, like why like anti-Semitism loses, because like to get back to the original topic of this conversation, like anti-Semitism loses because like it's fake. It doesn't really exist in the world. Like, it's happened to me a couple times.
But it leads to dead Jews.
Well, listen to this. A couple times. Once my plumber, he sent his son before to the house because they have a family business, really great company, and he sent his son to the house, and he just was like listening to me have a conversation with. Actually, I was on the phone with Adam Green, and he overheard me having a conversation about Candace, and he looked around my house and he saw all the awesome Jew logos and shit, and he was like, "Oh my God, wait!" And he asked me, he's like, "Are you awesome Jew?" And I was just, I swear,
Your
my plumber,
plumber? That's
my plumber,
amazing.
he's like, "I watch Candace all the time. I know exactly who you are. You're like the most infamous guy in Candace's world. Like, it's so crazy that I'm in your house." And I posted a video about it. It was funny. We got on a video stream together. It was really funny. I made like a little video about it. But then also like I was, I get recognized all the time, and then I meet people, and then I show them otherwise. That they do, that the online world. And then you ask people like who are not in the online world, like people who are not on X. Ask them about who Dom LaCour is. And a lot of them won't even know. But here he's generating 7.2 billion impressions. Like
Yep.
it's like such a weird world. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it's like
So I would like to say that the other point I was going to make, which was supposed to be a anti-Semites win point, was that the numbers have always been against us, but especially in today's world, a world of impressions and likes and engagement, the numbers are against us, 10 million fold than they ever were before. So if you look at a platform just like X, you have the, some portion of the 2 billion Muslims in the world, the vast majority of whom are anti Semitic, that are getting in on the conversation. So just in terms of like pure numbers, we are at a loss. And that is only amplified, 10 million fold online in terms of the anti Semitic input.
I think X is definitely skewed against the Jews. I think that Jews are disfavored on the platform. I
Any
think
global platform will be skewed against the Jews
Yeah, I'd say that, but I think
because
X
you're
is very
dealing with
skewed
the
against.
Muslim
I think
community,
X
which
is
is
very skewed against the Jews. It's unmistakably unbearable how few Jewish influencers actually penetrate deep into the space. And
right.
it's intentional,
You
you
think it's
know.
intentional by Elon
Oh
Musk.
yeah. You remember like when Facebook found out that like by selected targeted advertising they can turn out elections
Yeah,
by margins?
of course.
There's other data that they know that they could do through different influence campaigns. And
Okay, then
it doesn't have to do just with elections. It can do with for example, an influence campaign could be, like this situation in Iran, or which is
sure, of course,
where they're like literally, and then it becomes like this astroturf.
fake AI videos, all of it. Yeah,
Like for example,
Lego
they
propaganda.
feed me who they want me to see, because they want me to interact with some influencer to gain some sort of viral moment or something, or to astroturf somebody. I'll give you an example. My account, so infamous, and I don't say this to gloat, that the
It's okay, Adam.
algorithm,
You are like the king of gloater. Just just
when
do
the
your gloating.
algorithm wants to push some new anti Semite on us, they will try to get me to interact with them online to
But why
boost
is
their
that in
account.
Elon? Why is that coming from Elon? Why is that coming from the top?
It's coming from well, I don't know if Elon truly is the top. I mean, he's presented as the top. Prince Talal has a huge stake. He's a
He
vehement
doesn't have a huge stake.
anti-Semite.
We've talked about this. I looked this up. He has a stake. He doesn't have a huge stake.
So if it comes from the top, and if it's coming, it has to come from the top. If it's algorithmic, it has to be approved. It's like proprietary. There's
Okay,
some
but
sort of science behind it. You know what I'm
okay,
saying?
I understand.
But the
But you're
algorithm is
making the
feed
claim.
the algorithm feeds you to who it wants you to interact with.
Okay, but Adam, we have to understand there's two claims that we could make here. One claim, when you say that X is skewed against Jews, the implication is that it's unnaturally skewed, right? There is
Hmm.
something happening behind closed doors that we don't see.
Yes.
Then you can make the claim that it is naturally skewed against Jews, which is actually what I believe, right? That just by the fact of the amount of Muslims in the world that are on X, or the fact that the algorithm will favor rage bait because that is actually what gets the most views. That is what people genuinely, authentically want to see. That as a byproduct of just the way that social media operates, the Jews will get the shit end of the stick. But those are two different claims. So if you're making the first claim, We can explore that and talk about, well, then what could be going on that would and but I don't think the first claim is true because you don't need it to be true. And this is why anti-Semites win online. This is why they're winning because without manipulating things, without manipulating AI or the algorithms will just naturally favor anti Semitic content because that is the stuff that people online want to listen to because it is conspiratorial. It presents you with some secret knowledge that then boosts your ego for having, right? You feel like you are the one that has the real knowledge and everybody else is living in the matrix, right? But it's not just conspiratorial, it's also, outrageous and filled with emotion and anger, which is obviously what is going to attract people when they're doom scrolling, and they're taking in so much information in the span of like 5 minutes. The stuff that stands out is going to be the emotional stuff. So for so many reasons, naturally anti-Semitic content is preferential to people. So why do you even need it to be skewed in
So
some
look at this. I
manipulative
want to
way
show you. I want
behind
to
the
show you
scenes?
just some. I see what you're saying, that there's a large portion of people like third worlders who are like interfering in our politics online with the anonymous accounts from Bangladesh or whatever like that. But there's also like
Well,
there
and just
is
that there's
some.
more
Okay, I want
anti-Semites
to
in the
show you
world than
something,
there
right?
are
I want to show
Jews
you
in the
something, right?
world.
I want to show you something. Look at this community note. This community note that I got for the Dom thing. My Dom LaCour narrative amplifier, the war on influence, demonetization, epic fury, Trump and the future of media. And I get community noted on this. Dom LaCour was demonetized on X for posting AI war content. Do you know, like, this guy Junior? Do you know every single one of their accounts is posting AI war content? And this is what they community note me for.
Okay,
He's like, look, they give all these examples.
I have a response to this.
Okay, let's see what your response is.
My response is that isn't necessarily Elon or Nikita or whatever that is targeting Dom or targeting you. Dom is a huge account, okay? And he's a controversial account. And once you have that type of viewership, you have to be prepared for the wolves and the haters, or just the people, not even necessarily haters, people who do have legitimate issues with your platform, to then form their own sort of communities and their ways to get you deplatformed. And they can start campaigns, messaging campaigns, little Twitter groups where they're like, oh, this person is
And you
posting. Now
don't
let's
think
all
that
go and
and
community
you
note
don't
that.
think that X allows that? X is allowing that. Very
It is.
clearly X is allowing that.
Well, I think that's a huge problem with X. But I
That
don't
so
think that
it is coming from the top at X. It is like total policy.
I
You
agree,
know,
but I don't
one of
think
my
that
favorite
I
accounts on
agree, but
the
I don't think it's a deliberate
one of my
strategy
favorite
to
accounts and
amplify the anti-Semites.
one of my
That's not my
favorite
thing.
accounts and one of my favorite people on the whole platform, my good friend Ayala Kobe, he always, always, always hits this issue. That X is, I talk about X being not a serious platform, but like he really goes into it. Like follow what some of the things he exposes about other accounts versus his account, and like how X really doesn't favor Jews. It goes out of its way to stop or help Thomas Massey get more recognition. It uses us for those purposes. It has us all like the personality exams of all of us on X. The amount of data that X has on us based on our posts and what we share with the world behind the scenes. They have us so dialed in on data that they know exactly what to say, when, how to maneuver, when you're going to come back, when you're going to the bathroom. People who leave their microphones on their phone, X is spying on you. X is probably spying on you when you don't leave your microphone on the phone. They have like exact targeted advertisers. It's a very complex algorithm, and it's the only social media with a built-in AI. They've all tried
So
to
do you
like,
think that acts as institutionally anti-Semitic?
yeah, I mean, like Nikita Bear took $100 million to take this job.
Mhm.
And then they're like, like they don't have enough money to pay their content creators. But like Nikita Bear's $100 million position.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Eyal, and I love Eyal, and I retweet him all the time, and he's a friend of mine, um, in real life, not just online. Uh, but also, people have been very frustrated by somebody like Eyal, just like they have with somebody like Dom, for taking other people's content.
I said this to Dom too.
I have heard
I
these
said this to
complaints from
Dom.
people about AL,
Okay, I want to
and
tell it
yet
to you. I
AL
want to
has
tell
not
it.
been demonetized,
I'll answer
right?
this. I titled my episode with him "Amplifier of Narratives"
I know, I
because
watched your episode.
originally he was the breaker of narratives, and then he joked. He called himself the
Stealer and
stealer of
then the
narratives.
amplifier.
And this is what I have to say. There is more monetized content of me on the internet than I own, meaning that people are making money off of my content. And I'm here as an activist, not giving a fuck. I'm here to make content. I'm not here to collect checks. I'm not here to make money. I'm not doing this for a job. I own a company. I actually own more than one company, but I own my own business. This is not something I do for money. This isn't my parnassa, and so like it makes me like not give a fuck. And I
Okay,
have
I
that and
understand
I
that.
have that issue with content creators. Like if you're a content creator and you're so concerned about your street credit, you're not really making enough content. You need so much content that you don't even care how much of it yours is out there. Like I'm not ever like this whole stealing content. People are lucky that someone like Ayal even took their content to begin with and actually brought it to the world, or else it would have sat on a shelf in like somebody's phone as like a cute meme or something like that. So many things won't even get out to the world unless somebody takes it and actually amplifies it. And I'm sorry, but like I'm not going to sit here and repost every single good video and still post 10, 15 times a day. And like I try my best to give a shout out. Everybody hits me up. Every person. Can I get a retweet? Can I get a retweet? Can you quote tweet? And I feel horrible that I just don't do it to anybody. I don't give any quote tweets or retweets. I don't share posts. I'd love to, but
I think what
if
you're
I
talking
share
about is
these
something
guys,
different.
I'm gonna give 400 more messages of people to share. So it's easier if the content is so valuable that the world has to see it. I'm just gonna take it and share it. I'm not
Okay,
here. I'm not doing this for money. It's not making me money. I'm
okay.
doing
So
this for content.
your view as it applies to you is completely legitimate, and I totally sympathize with what you are saying. But I can also sympathize with somebody, and there are people I know personally, who I sympathize with, who, for example, will go out and do some, really good kind of gonzo Tim Pool style journalism, right? They'll make a video and they'll put their watermark it. They'll watermark it. They'll come up with a really interesting caption, and then somebody else will post their video and have the same caption but pretend it's not just like some basic caption that anybody could write. It's something really witty and thoughtful, and they'll pretend that it's their words, that it's their thoughts, and they'll post it, and they'll get the money from that video and from that message. And the person who made it won't. And the person who made it is conflicted because,
I'll
on the
give you.
one hand, they are grateful that
They're
the video
betas. They
was
suck.
seen.
They're
They
wimps.
are
They're so
grateful.
weak. These people are weak. They need to shut the fuck up. Honest to God. I see this all the time. Somebody will make a
But Adam,
post.
this
No,
is the
no,
reason why
Karis,
there are
listen.
copyright
Somebody
laws.
will
This
make
is
a
the
post
reason
and
why
they'll
you
get
can sue
100,000
somebody
views, right?
for
Or not
no,
even
but this is the
100,000
reason why you
views.
can sue somebody for plagiarism, or you can get fired. Like, these we're dealing with a very
We're talking
murky,
about
muddy
breaking
territory
news
of the internet.
stories. Like everybody does it. We're talking about breaking news stories. It's so weak. It's like, get over it.
I think the
Some
breaking
people
news
can only get some people want to break the news and they want to covet the news. Let's say they break a news story and they get 40,000 views, right?
Mhm.
Like, I have a major dilemma sharing people. If I share one person, I'm going to get asked by every Jew influencer to share their content. None of them care about me. They just
I
know that I
agree.
get hundreds of millions of views on the
But
platform.
I'm not talking about people asking
No,
asking you
but
to
if
share their
somebody
content.
has like a breaking story, it's a good story. It's like really news that that everybody's going to be talking about soon.
Mhm.
I've seen it where a post will get 40,000 views
Mhm.
and then it'll be taken by somebody else and I'll see the same post on another person
Right? Like
and they're
Betty
putting on
Johnson or
another
something.
40,000 views and they're
Mhm.
putting on another 40,000 views and now you got 120,000 views on the news. And what are we sharing the news for? To be content creators and try to monetize ourselves? Or are you sharing the news because you're reporting the news?
No, okay, but then you have to
That's what I'm saying. Like,
extract
just
this
go
to you
make
have to
more
ex
content.
I think that's not nuanced enough because it's not looking at breaking news in the real world and the and how it works
You're
when
talking
a
about people
media
that
outlet.
copy posts word for word.
I think that there is a difference. Okay, well, there's two things here. And I do think that the first thing that I was going to say before is there is a difference between just putting out a viral video that has been broken by somebody else and not crediting them, but that video itself is not original content by the original person that broke it. That is a difference. There's a difference between that. That is not as big of a deal as like a video that you make that is like a respectable, original creative piece of content, and then somebody reposts it and does not give you credit or, gets monetized for that post when you spent time, effort, possibly money and resources to create that video.
To
So
make
those are two
to
different
make
things.
real money as a content creator, I'm at like 150 episodes, I think. You need to like be in like 1,000. Those are just like
I know it's
I think
insane.
those are just episodes. I've also done probably like
I
100
think
guest
honestly you have to
appearances.
sell your soul to be able to like make
You
money to be a
don't.
content creator
You
in
really
this
don't.
in this
You
day and
just
age. Yeah,
you
because you have to be putting out so much content
It is. You
incessantly
have
because
to
you're
be a
competing.
massive content producer. Just like any job that you do, if you're going to succeed at it, you have to do a lot of it. Like
Yeah,
this
but
isn't any
But
different.
online has made the stakes and the rate and the speed at which you have to do things untenable because
I
it's
don't know
not
if you
the real
like
world.
people. Look, I appreciate all people who like make posts and think that that's content to make a 140 character post. That's not content. That's just like you splurging some idea. And if it gets picked up by somebody like Ayal, who's a megastar and amplified to the tune of millions of views, congratulations, your idea just got seen by people. You're moving up.
Okay, look, I think we
Now
can
you
put this to
can
rest
that
because at the end of the day, I actually don't really have a stake in this game. I'm not
that's
a
what
big
I
account.
just
I
let
don't get
people like
monetized.
if
Nobody
people
has
want to
ever
be
stolen my
monetized.
content. So I'm just somebody who's kind of like an outsider who has
Well,
heard the arguments.
you were like running to defend some invisible person against Ayal. So I'm just like saying like, hey, I got no problem with him amplifying. He's like really an amplifier of stories, and
No, I
also
was just trying to say, Adam, I was just trying to say, like, yes, I've heard the arguments on your side, and you're here to represent that side. I'm kind
Mhm.
of like an outsider that has heard arguments for other people as well. And I do think that it's a more nuanced, I just think it's a more nuanced
like it's rude,
and
okay?
detailed
Like
argument that then you're making it seem
okay,
because we
fine,
have to be
it's
very
rude. Some
specific
one of
with
my
like what
friends
we're talking
online, I
about.
shared a post of his, and like if you there's a way that you share it where it's just you share the thing and it doesn't have an official repost. And he's like, "You didn't give me credits." And I was like, "I shared your post." And he's like, "But you didn't give me credits and you're taking my content." And I was just like, "I thought it was good. I thought I was good and I was just amplifying you. Your name is right there in it."
Yeah. No, I
You
hear
know what
that.
I'm saying? Like,
And I think
give me
like
a
look,
break.
I think if you or Ayal, look at if Ayal, had a face-to-face discussion with somebody who was annoyed that they thought that he stole their post and they had like a face-to-face discussion about it, like there's a good chance that Ayal would come out on top in this debate. I personally have no
I
problem with
just think that
Ayal.
people should be less
I really like
whiny and
Ayal and I retweet
baby.
his
If
stuff
they
all the
get their
time,
content
regardless if it's
stolen,
other people's content
take
or
it
not.
as I mean, if it's like if somebody took a major motion picture and leaked it to the public, is very different taking of content than like somebody cut and pasting 140 characters and retweeting it.
Not
That's
in
all
this
I'm saying.
atmosphere because you're saying yourself these things generate billions of impressions, literally billions, and
No,
that
if
amounts to a
somebody who
lot of money.
generates no, they if somebody who generates billions of impressions takes your content and amplifies it, that means that they end up following you. You know how I ended up I don't want to talk about it, but like he ended up subscribing to me. Like that's how Dom and I got connected. He
Mhm.
started following the account, watching my content. I don't give a shit if he stole content. Maybe he did, maybe he did. I know he shared a lot of posts, but like I don't care. Like I'm making content. If every single piece of my content is manageable, meaning that I have it all indexed and filed and I know every single one, I haven't made enough content. I
Okay.
am a small-time creator trying to monetize on very few assets.
Okay. Well, I
That's
honestly, I think
that's
we
what
should
I
put this, I
believe.
think we should put this to bed because I don't even feel comfortable really like in this debate because I don't have a stake in it. I really don't.
Okay.
And I've just heard a lot of things from each side. That's all. And I honestly don't know where the right where like the moral
Okay, so then I won't speak
conclusion
it.
lies.
I'll
I
speak
really
to the
don't.
audience member who's
The only
listening
time
in. You're
the
not the
only time I've ever had anything remotely like this happen to me was when I coined the term Tucker Carlson in 2023, and then a bunch of people started saying it, like Mark Levin, blah blah blah, and everything like that. And I was like, "Hey, I coined this term." And then somebody else responded, and I like put a screenshot of how I first said it in like 2023, and then someone else put a screenshot, and they were like, "Actually, I first said it in 2021." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, I stand corrected. This guy is actually the king of Tucker Carlson. I looked it up and there's
who
no
was it?
other word. I don't know, some random guy with like no followers or whatever. Just like me. I'm just like a random account with no followers. And but I said I stand corrected. Like ignore my previous post. I am not the originator. You can go search, and anybody can go search Tucker Carlson on X, and they will see that the first usage of this was, in fact, by this account in 2021.
The
So
way that I
I,
see
I
these
wasn't going to
things.
keep saying I coined Tucker
So I
Carlson when
hear your
obviously I
position.
was
I
proven
get what you're saying. You're not the defender of that world, but and I will speak to anybody who's out there making content, watching me say all this stuff, and like you made content, you put it out on your own account, you got like a couple thousand views. You love it. Great. You love your content. Great. Your content got out there. Somebody like Dom takes it, and you got like on his account, you got like 500,000 views because he shared it. Congratulations. People just saw your content for the first time. Now go make more. And that's how you build influence. And that's how you become irreplaceable in the society and in whatever movement or whatever content you're trying to make. Is just make more content. That's all I got to say. And I'm sorry if you're hurt because, you think you're owed something, but just make more content. And that's why I think like, you know, I would say I don't even want to give them any W's, but like the anti-Semites are just like always making content. They will get up there. They'll take the biggest loss in the world and then come
because
out
they're
on camera the
losers.
next day. You know what I'm
Because they're
saying?
losers. Because they literally can make content all day, every single day, and that is what is required now
Actually,
to
they get
be
paid.
popular.
They get paid very well. I always
I
wondered
know,
what I
they
always
are.
wondered why that like white power thirst trap Morgan Ariel gets all dressed up and ready for her little thing every day where she does that little video. I mean, she like practically wears like a mink coat to like come on camera like, and it's because she's giving it her best cuz she's getting paid. She's getting paid to do all that stuff, and this is like her job, and they're all getting paid and they're making a
But
lot of money.
can I
They're making
ask
a
you
lot
something?
of money. Dom said on the podcast the easiest money he ever made was being anti-Israel.
I heard that. But can I ask you something? Why even make original content if you can just go and share other people's content?
You could
and
be
be
a content
responsible.
sharer if you want. If that's the kind of account you want, you just want a repost account, go be a repost account. If you want to be a content creator,
No,
you're
no,
not
no. I'm saying no, no. That wasn't my question. My question is why make original content when you can just post other people's content, but pretend it's original and pretend it's yours?
you can't pretend that it's a I mean, you're I think you're living in a hypothetical and taking the situation out of context. The way that I see people complain about IL stealing posts or whatever, it's like, look, people come up with great things. We don't have time to like sit there and keep the score of who scored what. If you're fighting for like Zionism or, like trying to make the world safer for Jews, like stop trying to keep score of how many points you get on the board, or else you're not trying to like make the world safer for Jews. What you're really trying to do is score points for yourself, and the grift is making the world safer for Jews. Don't be a grifter. That's all I'm saying. I hate grifters. I hate grifters with so much passion.
But one way one one form of grifter is a person who will write something, a long thing out that he or she knows will get a lot of eyeballs on social media, and it's not even theirs. They literally stole it from somebody that they saw, and they like write like three paragraphs, and they didn't even actually write it. It was somebody
Look,
else.
I don't see. I never seen anything like that. But like, people, if that's what they're complaining
Oh,
about,
I definitely,
if
definitely
that's what
seen
they're complaining
whole
about,
debates on
then
X about that.
they should just quote tweet the person and say, "Hey, thanks for sharing. Subscribe to me, and I'll write some more that you can use." I mean, like, it's like people want to be handed a silver platter. Like, do you know what it takes to work and make money? You got to come up, you got to like go out, you got to make sales, you got to be told no 1,000 times, not 1,000 times, maybe less. You got to have such big balls to be in sales, right? You don't eat unless you kill. You got to make the sale in order to make the money, right? So like all these people are like, they have smaller accounts, and I'm not knocking anybody for having a smaller account. Some of the best content comes out of smaller accounts. But if you're a smaller account trying to penetrate into the space, you want to be recognized by bigger accounts. I find small accounts all the time. I think they're hilarious. These people are unbelievable content creators, shit
Yes,
posters, whatever.
you just have to be specific about what you mean when you say recognized by bigger
You
account
got to
accounts.
be,
If we're
if
just talking
somebody
about
big, if you're
retweeted,
a smaller
sure.
account, I'm not saying I'm not advocating theft, nothing. Believe me when I tell you, big accounts, we are not making money on X. They pay us agarot. They don't even pay us shekels. They pay us agarot. They are so cheap with the Jewish accounts. With the anti-Semitics, they're like giving $7,000 tweets. You know what I'm saying? But with us, it's like it really is like cheap as they are so cheap with the Jews. And they think that X is the cheapest platform with the Jews. So like, don't think that content creators like IL are out there for money. I
Oh, I
don't
definitely don't
I
think
don't
that
want
at all. I
IL.
know that's not the
I want
case.
look. I'll say this about IL. He is such a hard worker in his real life. Has
For sure.
nothing to do with online. His
For
real
sure.
life.
No,
That's what
Adam, let me second that and
that's what I think
say
is
for
so
the
impressive
record that
about
I
him.
that I know for a fact that like AL is absolutely not, if he is like, not giving somebody credit or something like that, it's not because he's trying to make money off of a post. I know that
No,
for sure.
this dude is so
100%.
busy in his real life. And this is
Yeah.
why I love him so much, is because I see, like, I'm 42. He's like 24 or something like that, 25 maybe.
Yeah.
This guy is killing it in his job, working insane hours, busting his ass, popping onto the internet like at his bathroom break. Like when
And
you
he's
see
courageous.
Ayal
And
online,
he's courageous.
it's in between the cracks, and he's insanely courageous. And so if someone like Ayal retweets your post or takes your post, I just think you should be grateful. And if you're out there because you think like he's monetizing on you or something like that, you're just like a weak content creator, and you don't have enough content to begin with if that's intimidating to you. You should feel inspired that somebody like him valued your content enough to share it with such a massive platform. That's all I'll say. People need to be a lot more generous and courteous to bigger accounts on the platform that are
I
sharing
think
their
we can all.
content, because it is very
For
hard to get ahead on X. X is a
well,
very, very, and I said this earlier, I didn't get to finish this thought. It is the hardest platform to break into. It pays the least. You to be X famous is really to be influential in America.
I agree, but
Meta,
and I wanted to say AL is very
TikTok,
different than somebody like Dom. Dom got his fame from X, from the content he was creating on X. AL, we have to remember what he did in the real world to propel him to social media stardom, which is that he actually stood up against the Jew-hating bullies at Penn, right? Was it Penn? And he took them on and he sued his college university, and he went and he testified before Congress, and he is doing real on the ground work sticking up for the Jews, literally just for the Jews and just for Israel, not even like partisanly, not even in a political way.
I think
And
he's more
so
like
that
standing up
attracted,
for America than anything else. Like he's very
for
American
sure.
focused. He's like the only one who's like, pretty much wants Israel to be a vassal state of America. But like everybody's out there making content. The
So what
anti
I'm saying is that for people who don't know who AL is, like people should go look him up, because he is not somebody who he is not just an account that appeared on X, like like Ian Carroll or something like that, and then got like a lot of views and put out
Also,
some
Ian
videos. No,
Carroll, you
he's
can't
somebody
say that
who.
about Ian Carroll. Ian Carroll worked very, very hard to get where he's at. He put out so much freaking content. That's what I'm saying. Like, if it's about content, you can't think he was just astroturfed. He like almost invented the video of the guy projected in front of like whatever's written on the back. And maybe he's got some handler making the videos of him, but they put out an insane amount of content. Before he ever became anti-Semitic, he had that clothing line company that he was doing the content with. He has made a lot of content. He's a serious content creator, and that's why he's very
Okay, but
successful, because he has
he
a
is a
lot of
content
content.
creator. AL is not really a content creator.
He's
AL is
not.
somebody in the real world doing like real things on the ground. And like you said, between like bathroom breaks, he's like posting on X. So I'm just saying there's a different, not all big accounts are just, are just big because of their like social media um careers. Like AL, like you said, he has a real career in the real world, and because of what he's built in the real world and the reputation that he's gotten, that has led people to his social media account.
If I have to defend Ian Carroll's right as as a content creator, maybe the anti-Semitics are winning.
Ha!
No, they're losing
Touche.
hard. They're losing hard, man. Jang, Dugan, and Sneeko together are losing hard. They're all losing. Everybody's changing their tune. Even Fuentes is changing his tune. He like has to force himself to like drop the N word. You see it in his face now. He like is just trying to keep his audience. Like people are changing. The anti-Semites lost. People just want an easy life. They want intellect, money, happiness. They like their fame.
But anti-Semitism brings money.
A lot of these anti-Semites have like proven over and over again. The ones who created their movement, Stu Peters, you don't see people like that anymore anywhere. These people are all a passing fad, just like Candace. She'll be gone soon. Everybody sees it. Candace has been the greatest thing for the destruction of the anti-Semites. An absolute all-out mind spiral to people who like white-only spaces, and it's led by a black woman acting like a goon.
Look,
And like
I really hope you're
Evan
right about
Kilgore,
that.
all sorts of big people just can't do that anymore. And they walked away. So many people walked away because of
I
Candace.
hope it's a passing fad. I really do. Obviously, I really hope
Well,
you're right.
it will be over when YouTube stops paying her. When she does not make $100,000 for going on and demon possession videos and the weird shit she does.
That's actually like not a bad
That's what she did.
impersonation of her. I know, I know. No, she totally. She's always like sticks her neck out and she's like, no, 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 no. Like it's so true. like one of her signature.
Anyways, we've been going hard on this podcast. We
Yeah,
just
this
hit
was
the
fun.
90-minute mark. So
I
I
found
always
it
kind of keep them
stimulating.
in that bubble. But we covered a lot of subjects today, a lot of good things to think about, especially broad subjects. And I would say my take home, like real world take home. There's a lot of complaining, a lot of fetching, a lot of fetching going on this podcast. And the real take home, and I say this to white people and to black people and to Muslims and to Christians and to everyone. If you're not happy with what you see, go make more of you in the world by having children. And that's the underlying message about everything that we talked about. I think we hit it on the head when we spoke about, people aren't getting married, they're not making families. That's the loss. That is where we're losing. And in order to win, to truly win and to cement these victories, like Abraham had to have Isaac to inherit him, like we also have to have an inheritor to inherit this new world that we created, peace amongst Arabs, no regional enemies, unbelievable, unprecedented trade relations and technology relations with the United States and the world, one of the greatest militaries on earth, one of the only nuclear powers, the only countries capable of regime change. The Jews have built a lot that is worth preserving. And in order to do that, the power is a choice that you make to procreate. And so I give you a blessing. I know you're on deck. This guy, if he's watching, go knock her up, man. Go make some Jewish babies in the world.
Oh, he's just waiting for me to give him the go ahead. That's for sure.
I'll make
I
this
will just
clip for you.
say,
You go. You
oh,
don't
you should.
give her.
No, you should.
Don't wait for her. You
He'll
take
love
the
it.
lead, bro.
He'll love it. I would just say that to your audience. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I really enjoyed talking with you, Adam. I like our informal conversation style. But I would just say that for anybody watching, and not just Jews, if you are taken care of, if you are already in a relationship or a marriage, like actually, if you have any time, use it to try to create connections between your single friends. Don't take for granted that they are on apps or meeting people or going on dates, because it's always better to get a recommendation from a friend, from a real life friend. So I really think that everybody should be trying to set up their single friends that want to be in marriages or relationships. So go look through your phone and see who you know that's still single, and see if you can bridge any connections.
That's good advice. Thank you for coming on today. I'll see you around town on the most toxic place in the world, X. And
Yeah, or when I get to LA, I'll let you know.
in the judoverse. I'll see you in the judoverse, the judosphere.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Peace out.
Adam.
Everybody